Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. No, good evening. It is 7:30 Central Standard Time. Um, Today is day 3 of the challenge that I imposed on myself of doing a Facebook Live for the next 30 days. Um, I just realized some of you might not know who I am. I'm Nicole Laswell. I actually have a business where I help people find inner peace. Therefore, I call myself the inner peace broker. How this works is I can't bring inner peace to you, but I can be a guide. So, again, it's I help you broker inner peace within yourself, really. So that's what I do right now. And of course, I'm mom, wife, daughter, taking care of a bunch of people at the house, and life is beautiful. But sometimes it's not as easy as it looks, right? We all go through that. So the reason why I'm doing this 30-day challenge is to practice my speaking skills, but it's also to share some very useful knowledge. I like to think of myself as a very practical person as well as a very spiritual person. But I like to be able to apply those things in this plane, in this physical plane. Ideas, we all have wonderful ideas, but if they're not put into action, we won't see it down here, right? They just stay in your head. That's what I love about interior decoration. This was all in my head, and boom, now it's here, and it's absolutely wonderful. So, by having a child so I have 2 boys that have autism. My oldest has been one of my biggest challenges and one of my most wonderful lessons. And he has been my teacher in patience. I'm going to share a story that I'm not very proud of, but it's a very real one that everybody should know about, because that way you know that we're all human and you're not alone. We think we're alone, but we are not alone. So during COVID, especially at the beginning of the lockdown, we were in a 2-bedroom apartment, and we were a family of 4, so we were great. It wasn't too bad at the beginning, but then I had to teach the boys, and the boys have a very rigid way of thinking. For example, Will would tell me when I started telling him that we were going to do school at home, he's like, no, school, like work at school, and home, no, there's no work, the way he was trying to explain it in his own words, because he doesn't speak as well. But and I told him, well, I'm your teacher now and we got to make this work. And I know that all parents had such a difficult time trying to establish routines that could work for everybody. And I, God bless us, I had decided to stop working at the university. And God knew why. Because this was coming, and I was going to have to teach the boys. They already have all kinds of accommodations. Thank God, through the public school district, we get a lot of help, and that has been priceless. But you still have to motivate someone who is very rigid in their thinking to do something they don't necessarily want to do. And you have to try to do logic with someone who doesn't understand the logic and doesn't understand the language. It just doesn't work. The thing is that you have, as a parent, you have all of the school district telling you what they should know at this age. And it was very disheartening. And it happens every time. There's just little levels that I go through when I see a typically developing child at the 4th grade level, what they're learning and what my son is doing. And it's very, very different. And I have to be okay with that, because it is what it is. And I can't make him work at a level that he's not ready for. So we have to meet him, right? The problem is that for me, having to sit with him took a lot of work. One 20-minute exercise would last about an hour and a half, 2 hours, because he would get stuck on making sure that the format of the exercise was correct. And for me, that wasn't in. At least I got him to be able to sit down and we could do some of the math homework that he needed to do. But he needed to organize it. So the teachers would put it in little clouds, little multiplication equation. But he needed to make the cloud just the right size and the numbers just the right size. So you can imagine, and then in my head, what was happening was, oh my God, we just need to do this one worksheet, because there's going to be more coming tomorrow. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, you don't talk about this, but in the subconscious, this is what's happening. If I don't get this done with my son, if he doesn't get this done, the teachers are going to think that I'm a slacker, that I'm not doing my job as a parent. What's the worst thing about that? They're gonna think I'm not doing my job. Being a terrible parent for me is one of the worst things, because I judge other people, right, in my head, like, how can they not take care of their kids? If somebody thinks of me that way, that means I will not be appreciated or loved, and then I'll be exiled from the group, humanity itself, separate. And it's a very real fear. You don't talk about it, again, because we're not talking about how me upset at my son for not finishing his homework. Hi, beautiful. For not finishing his homework, goes all the way to my fear of being ostracized from all of humanity, because we don't go that far down. But as soon as you realize that that's my issue, I can stop it in its tracks. Problem is, this one day I couldn't do that because I was tired. We were all stuck in one space, and actually we had already all moved into a 3-bedroom apartment, and we had taken in my mother, who had a stroke when she was 56. She's a walking, talking miracle, and we adore her, but she's also a lot of work for me, because I have to make sure she has her medication, that she's fed. It's a third child, but she's 65. And she's wonderful. We need grandma energy in the house anyway. But that's also running in my head. Can my mom hear me trying to do all of these things as well? And is she judging me? That am I being a good parent, etc., etc.? Again, we don't talk about it, but our hearts are pumping like this, and they're going. And so, of course, I can see now how I lost my patience with him. And he just was not moving. And then he starts, it's interesting about Will, that I love it because it's brought it to my attention. If you guys have ever seen 50 First Dates, in the movie, there is, she gets a really bad brain, it is a concussion, but she has brain damage that affects her long-term memory, her short-term memory. So she resets every night, and every day is the same day, like Groundhog Day for her. But there's another character in the movie that's called a 10-second Tom. And that day when I lost my patience with Will, during the lockdown and COVID, and me trying to teach him and me not knowing where else to go, because he, again, a 20-minute exercise was taking him an hour and a half, and we weren't moving forward, and I had to push him, like, Will, we have to do this. In my mind, I felt like I had to push him, right? And I lost my patience, yelled at him, and then he started yelling back. And of course, yelling never works, by the way. That's the beauty of having children on the spectrum. They teach you real quick. It just doesn't work. It really is going to backfire to a whole other level with children on the spectrum, because they don't care. It's just coming out. And for him, what he kept saying was this. He said, I need to restart. I don't know how to restart. I need to restart my life. But I forgot. And then he'd go, but I forgot, but I don't know, but I forgot, but I don't know. And I mean, it was cycling and cycling and cycling. And I was so overwhelmed. And again, nowhere to go. This is the beauty of COVID. We had nowhere to go. And there's still people who have nowhere to go. We're in Texas, so it's a little different. So you have to face it. You have to do something about it now, here. Or you can just shut down. That's obviously an option, which I had to do a couple of times. So that day I was shutting down. I was just so upset. And I told my husband, I told Martin, I said, I'm leaving. And he just looks at me. And he just said, it's okay, just jump in the shower. I'll take over. And he's at work. He's working from home as well from the office in our bedroom. So again, this was very interesting times. We were all made to live with each other at a completely different level. But I felt terrible that I had yelled at him and that I felt like I broke him because he wouldn't stop saying, but I forgot, but I'm sorry, but I forgot. And so he said, take a shower. And, he took the boys. I broke down and cried. I have a little altar where I meditate, and it was just straight up child's pose, hands on the ground, outstretched, just yelling, crying. I mean, I'm ugly as crying. But it felt so visceral. I don't know if you guys have heard of, there's therapies out there. It's like a screaming therapy. I can see why it works. But it was just me screaming into the ground, just completely surrendered to what had just happened. Because I felt like I failed him. I felt like I failed myself. And I didn't know where to go, basically. And here I was. So I finished crying, jump in the shower, come back out. I hear that Stevie needs something. That makes me want to cry again. So I go back into and by the way, this was in our closet. This is where my meditation space is. And I go back to crying some more. It was very cleansing. It was obviously time to let it all go. That's the beauty of crying. Crying is good. Don't shy away from crying. If you need a good cry, just do it. But then move forward. So this is what happens. After the crying, I end up talking to him and apologizing, of course, because I don't ever want him to feel like he doesn't have a voice. I said it was wrong of me to yell at him. Will he please forgive me? And then I said, I understand that you are stuck in a loop. I will do my best to be present when you need me to be present. Can you help me to be present with me so we can get your work done? And it was interesting because when we have outbursts like that, whenever he has it or I have it, it seems to shift the energy, and he is open. It's almost interesting, like he's more there. Sometimes with autism, they're elsewhere. They're with you, but it's elsewhere. It's interesting. So from then on, I realized how patience truly is a practice. I already knew that beforehand with him. We have so many things that we've gone through with Will. Yes, Leela, absolutely. Yep, I have the type A too. So it is the lesson of how to let go and surrender. And so now, when that's happening, when he says, I'm sorry, but I forgot. I need to restart my life. What's really cool about the practices that I've been doing, and people talk about this when they pray, you ask for grace, whether you pray or not. It's just, it really what it is. It's what I was telling you in the previous video is stop, drop, and breathe. Because all you're doing is creating space for whatever emotion that needs to go through. I remember my mom used to tell me, don't ever ask for patience because God will send you all kinds of ways to learn patience. And that really stuck with me. But it's interesting because I've definitely developed it. And I believe it's a practice of being able to sit with the emotion of the whatever anger, sadness, frustration. And then also the practice of going like I did, I'm afraid that if I don't get the work done with Will on time for the teachers, they're going to think I'm a failure as a parent. I'm going to be completely separate from humanity in existence, and I will die alone somewhere, that type of thing. Once you see that that's what's operating at the subconscious level, you kind of bring it back because that's not true. And if people are thinking that way of you, you get to the point where you really don't care because you're trying your best. You really are. So again, that patience came through having that grace of just breathing, of taking a moment, having that, putting myself in his shoes and what it must be like for him to try to communicate something to, because he's having his feelings too. He was going through COVID just as much as I was. So it's all of a sudden it makes us all just look at each other and where we stand. So it's helped me be more patient with every single person around me. How to just listen, even if I don't agree with that person. How can I be patient with what they have to say and let them say it? Because really, all we want to do is be heard, be seen. Oh my gosh, so many people that I work with, that's all they want. Doesn't mean that you can just, let them walk all over you, obviously. No, that's not the point. But if you have that, it's interesting what happens when you ask for grace and that surreal patience that comes in. It's almost like it's done for you. It's almost like you're completely supported and you let that come to you. And you just practice that patience of just sitting in stillness during strong emotion. And that's the beauty of having these boys. They have taught me to be the most peaceful one in the room when they really need me to be. Yeah, sometimes I still lose my patience and I'm trying, but that's why it's called a practice every day. So anyway, that was the video for today. I just realized I'm at 16 minutes. Either way, I hope it was a very powerful story, something that you can identify with. Thank you, Leela, for sharing yours. It is very important that we see that we're all going through the same stuff. We're not alone. There's so many people going through depression right now, and my hope is to show them a different way, that it's okay to go through that depression, but then get the help you need. Don't do this alone. Know that the whole life experience has the whole spectrum. So be able to participate when you're ready to participate. But know that you are loved, that you are prayed for, that light is being sent your way. And that what I tell my boys, I also tell them every day, all is well always. Might not feel like it right now, but all is well always. The universe just is. We just exist. That's it. We just have all the emotions. We're embodied. We're human. We're having this fantastic experience. And that's the cool thing. We get to choose what that experience is going to look like. And I'm choosing a completely different experience with my children than I could have had if you would have talked to me 10 years ago. And to see me today like this, it's still me. It's just I've learned how to just stop, drop, breathe, be peaceful, send love and light, let go of all programming that no longer serves, and enjoy this life, because this is the one embodiment this way with the people that surround me in this manner. So I'm gonna have fun. I hope y'all join me in that party. All right, I'm done. I'm gonna send you all so much love and light, and I'll catch you tomorrow in my challenge on day 4. God bless y'all. Mwah.